Hi, I'm Cody. Welcome to Home Video Hangouts. When you start collecting physical media, it's important to have a plan and a strategy in place to stay motivated to keep collecting and make sure that you're not overwhelmed by your collection. So today I'm going to be sharing with you 5 tips for new collectors of physical media. And make sure you stick around to the end of the video because I'm going to share with you how I keep track of my collection of over 1,500 movies. So starting with tip number 1. When you start collecting physical media, it's important to decide how much you're going to spend on your new hobby. So I would suggest having a budget every month for how much money you're going to spend on collecting physical media. What I do personally is every time I get paid, I set aside some money that I could spend on my collecting and buying new movies and different things. And that way I don't put additional financial stress on myself just for collecting. You know, it's not always worth buying new releases right when they come out and spending a lot of money on them when you could wait a little while and get them cheaper and stay within your budget. So, you know, of course, collecting and watching movies is something that should be relaxing and fun and enjoyable, and we don't want to add stress to the situation by overspending. So that's tip number 1. Tip number 2 would be decide what format you want to collect of physical media. I personally collect DVDs, Blu-rays, and 4K Blu-rays. But there are other types of physical media as well, such as VHS, Laserdisc, CDs, vinyl records, And so there's a lot of options out there of what types of formats you can collect. So when it comes to movies specifically, like what I collect, I decided that I want to, as much as possible, have the highest format possible. So whenever a movie comes out on 4K, Ultra HD Blu-ray, that's what I'm trying to get. But with that being said, as we mentioned in the first tip, I don't immediately buy 4K Blu-rays when they first come out because that's when they're most expensive. A lot of times I buy them used at places like thrift stores, record stores, things like that where you can buy them used. There are a lot of options for buying physical media used, and I have a whole other video I made where I recommend 10 different places you can buy used physical media cheap, so I recommend you check out that video as well. But I would say there's benefits to all the different formats. For example, if you want the highest possible video quality and audio quality like I do, you can go ahead and collect 4K Ultra HD Blu-rays or even just regular Blu-rays if they haven't made a 4K for it yet. If you want a good balance between being cost effective and having good quality video, you can get regular 1080p Blu-rays. There's a lot of great deals out there on those. Or if you want the biggest bang for your buck where you just want to be able to enjoy physical media and movies without relying on a streaming service or digital rentals or anything like that, DVDs are a great option too, and they're incredibly cheap right now. I find DVDs anywhere from 10 cents up to $1 each most of the time when I'm looking to buy them used. And new movies are still put out on DVD as well. It's still a very popular format, actually the most popular physical media format for movies still. So I would decide on what format you want to primarily collect. I would say if you want to save some money, you could even start out collecting DVDs, which are cheaper, and then over time just buy higher formats for your favorite movies that you enjoyed the most, and then replace your DVDs. And you could even sell the DVDs later to recoup some money to add further to your collection. So that's tip number 2. Tip number 3 would be to decide what equipment you need to buy to fully appreciate the format you're collecting. So if you're going for more of a budget setup and you're collecting DVDs, you won't need as much equipment. Pretty much any TV will work for that. Any basic sound bar or sound system setup will work for appreciating DVDs, or even a computer and a monitor could be used for appreciating DVDs. Just about every video game console that's ever been made also has a DVD player built in. So that is a very cost-effective way to start collecting movies. But if you wanted to, for example, go for the highest format and collect 4K Ultra HD Blu-rays, then you would need to get either one of the newest video game consoles that has a 4K Blu-ray player built in, or a standalone 4K Blu-ray player that will read things like 4K discs and interpret formats for HDR like Dolby Vision or HDR10 Plus. And you also may want to look into a sound system that allows you to take advantage of the Dolby Atmos tracks that are often on 4K Ultra HD Blu-rays. So setting up a home theater that takes advantage of all the benefits of a 4K Blu-ray can get very expensive. You can check out my video I made where I walk through my own home theater, which is set up for Dolby Atmos as well as HDR with 4K Blu-rays. I have a Dolby Vision capable TV, which is very nice, and I really appreciate all the 4K discs that I have in my collection, but it can be great too to save a little bit of money and either just collect DVDs or standard Blu-rays where you wouldn't have to have as much equipment to fully appreciate their full video and audio quality. So you can kind of decide on, if you want to have all of your equipment right away or slowly upgrade your equipment over time along with the format you watch. But it's another thing to consider when you're setting your budget and just starting to collect, because you don't want to have to rebuy things on a higher format later if you can help it, unless that's part of your strategy to save money. And you don't want to have to keep upgrading your equipment over time unless you have a plan for that in your budget. All right, for the fourth step, I would say determine how much space you have for collecting physical media and how you're going to organize it. In my collection, I use inexpensive bookshelves I purchased from Target for storing all of my DVDs and Blu-rays and 4K Blu-rays. And that way I can see them all displayed on the shelf. I can display my Funko Pops on top of the shelves as well. And you can see from my full collection video how I have them organized and how it works for me. I think one of the fun parts of collecting physical media is being able to see all of your cases on a shelf, but some people prefer to just get rid of the cases and store their discs in binders to save space as well. If you don't care about seeing the box artwork or keeping the boxes, there's nothing wrong with that. You're still getting the benefits through collecting physical media of not relying on a streaming service or a monthly fee to watch the movies you love. And that works for some people. So you have to kind of decide what's important to you, whether you want to see all of your movies displayed on a shelf. And there's a lot of storage solutions out there, from custom shelves to inexpensive bookshelves like I got from somewhere like Target. There's a lot of options out there that you can research, but it's another thing you want to consider ahead of time before you start buying your movies, so you can see how much your collection can grow over time and what limitations you have in your space. All right, now for the fifth and final tip. I was going to share with you, as I mentioned in the beginning, how I keep track of my entire movie collection of over 1,500 movies. So as my collection started to grow, I realized that when I go out shopping for new movies, it's hard to remember what movies I already have in my collection to make sure I'm not double buying them when I don't want to. So the best solution I found for keeping track of my collection and what movies I have is the app and website Blu-ray.com. Blu-ray.com has forums where you can interact with other movie collectors, but they also have a great platform for keeping track of your collection, which is what I primarily use it for. Their app is also great for when you're on the go and you're shopping for movies. It allows you to input what movies you have in your collection, on what format you have them, either by scanning the barcode on the box or by typing in the title. They have an extensive database of movies already in there with a lot of details about them. And it even allows you to keep track of what you spent on each movie and how many times you've watched that movie. You can do special searches in your collection if you're trying to find a specific movie. There's a comment section if you have a certain organization method you're using. It's a very useful app that I highly recommend as you start to grow your movie collection. So in conclusion, whether you're a new collector or you've been collecting physical media for years, I hope you found these 5 tips helpful as they were to me. And let me know in the comments below if you have any additional tips you'd like to share with our community. And make sure to hit the subscribe button in order to hear more about collecting physical media. And check out my other videos I have linked in the description for the 10 best places I have for buying physical media cheap. And I'll see you in the next video. Thanks.